I like the good quality old homes that have withstood the test of time. Not everything old is good. Hey guys, it's Josh Flagg with The State Media, and we're going to go over some of my favorite houses I've sold over the years. First house is 1010 Hillcrest, and what makes this so special is a couple things. Firstly, it was built by John Wolfe, who's one of the most famous architects in California. The house was built for Paul Truesdale, who is the founder of Truesdale Estates. This was his personal home, and he lived there with his wife, Jean, until she sold the house off about 15 years ago. Because Truesdale Estates is such a known epic part of Beverly Hills, the fact that this property, which I sold, was on this promontory where Paul Truesdale decided to put his home, that shows that it was, one of the best parts of Truesdale. And he could have had any architect he wanted. He chose John Wolfe. It was not a very large house for today's standards. It might have been 5,500, 6,000 square feet, but it had gorgeous views of the city, just this beautiful promontory up a long private gated driveway and a, I'd say about a half an acre flat pad, which is very large for Truesdale. What makes this house so unique is there's, only a couple John Wolfe houses in Truesdale. This house in particular is one of maybe two that I know of houses that have its own long private gated promontory and a flat pad with a motor court like this. I mean, it's probably one of the better lots in Truesdale. That's why Paul Truesdale chose it for his property. 1005 Summit Drive. Great house, lots of memories. The owner was a friend of my grandmother's. Her name was Hermine Beck, and she passed away at about 98 years old. She was a great lady. So I grew up, over the years going to this house and visiting with her. And when she passed away, her kids asked me to sell it for her. It's a mid-century modern, and what's so special about it is it's just a time capsule, but in the best way. When this house was built, it was the house of tomorrow. It was cutting edge for the time. And what I love so much about it is a complete time warp. It is exactly the way it looked when it was built in late 1950s. Just a really cool A-frame style house. Not a very large house, probably about 4,000 square feet, but everything was top quality when it was done at the time. And it's incredible to look at some of the furniture and the carpeting, because it's literally none of these pieces were recovered. It was such fine quality that it lasted 50 years. It was really incredible. If you take a look at the pool, it's got this incredible diving platform. Inside we have Dexter Frankel sculptures. Dexter Frankel did the cathedral downtown, very famous artist. Again, this was done, everything was top notch at the time when it was built. A lot of times when I sell these homes that are from the 50s or the 60s, people get used to their environments and their surroundings. And so if you build something that is like an Architectural Digest and it's so beautiful and you live in it, usually you don't see that things are changing in the world around you, and you don't see that styles have changed. And guess what? If I was 90 years old and I built something fabulous and I loved it, I probably wouldn't be changing it either. I like the good quality old homes that have things that have withstood the test of time. Not everything old is good. The next house is 1231 Stone Canyon, which is the former residence of Judy Garland. I sold this house for a little over $11 million recently. It's a beautiful home, and it's got pedigree. It was built by Wallace Neff, who is, I would say, one of the most recognized architects in California history, and very popular in Bel Air at the time. This house was built by Judy Garland when she was in The Wizard of Oz. She was only, I think, 16 years old at the time when she had this house built for her. She lived here with her mother, and I think her grandmother, actually. And the house was meticulously renovated. The house is just completely mint condition. There's nothing you could do if you tried. It's so mint. And it was fabulously decorated. Next house is 131 North Del Fern. This is the Bloomingdale residence. It was owned by socialite Betsy Bloomingdale, and it was probably the best time capsule I've ever sold. It was filled with Billy Haynes furniture. When I sold the house, I actually purchased a majority of the contents when they went to Christie's. I actually said to the members of the Bloomingdale family, I said, I just want to buy all this stuff. And they said, we have to put it at auction. I said, well, it's all going to go to auction in New York, and it's just going to come right back to Los Angeles. So might as well make a deal now, but we couldn't. So I went and I just bid on everything at Christie's. And it is, first of all, it was done by Billy Haynes, who's one of the greatest decorators of the 20th century. The house was also worked on by architect A. Quincy Jones. The house was originally an Italian residence that was built in the 1920s, and then in the late 1950s, when the Bloomingdales purchased it, they hired Billy Haynes to just redo it and turn it into this incredible Regency home. And I mean, it was by far one of my favorite homes that I've ever sold. And looking through the photos, it's so nice because, I have half of these pieces of furniture now in my house, and I can look at them and just looking at the hallway mirror, the cabinet in the living room. I mean, there's so many things in here that I now have and I get to look at every day. I sold this house in, I want to say 2015. Probably when I was, I sold this when I was like 30, I think, maybe 29 or something like that. Definitely one of the most iconic houses in Los Angeles. 2.5 acres on the best street, Delfern Drive. Just pedigree, this house. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we'll review some more houses I've sold over the years that had a lot of meaning to me.